I've been drinking this for years. It hasn't made me any smarter. If anything, I'm getting dumber. Hello and welcome. It is 9:30. It is the 10th day of January. It is a beautiful spring morning. We're going to be in the 80s, supposedly, most of this week. I know I'm looking at the calendar and it says January, but winter? What's that? Hello, I am your grumpy guide to all things gaming. It is Sunday. It is time for our second look at the 5-room dungeon idea, and can it be applied to any genre, the experiment we are conducting at least for some of this month. So we've already done fantasy. We know the 5-room dungeon idea is pretty much geared towards the fantasy genre, but can it fit in other genres? Like, let's say, space, science fiction. So let's talk our way through a 5-room scenario using space as the setting. And let's also explore the idea that, the bad guy, the main boss, does not have to be the last encounter. How interesting could it be to have the main boss be the first encounter? So the first thing that comes to my mind when I was thinking about this morning is Star Wars, Darth Vader, the scene in A New Hope, the very first scene. If anything's a 5-room dungeon in Star Wars, it's that. The very first scene of your 5-mark scenario is the player characters encounter Darth Vader, the boss, the final boss. Now, normal 5-room dungeon theory says you would encounter the final boss in the last room, but let's reverse that. And let's look at, a Star Wars scenario. Let's look at that and say, what if the very first thing we encounter in the first room of our 5-room dungeon is Darth Vader? First level, low level player characters, heck, most high level player characters can't take on Darth Vader, nor should you. In fact, it's a scene where the whole rest of the 4 rooms of the 5-room dungeon is sort of built around you fleeing from Vader. So the very first room of our Star Wars 5-room dungeon is the player characters deal with Vader. It's like the opening scene of A New Hope. Lasers flying, door explodes. Vader comes in, he's searching for the plans or a robot, or he wants to capture and interrogate one of the player characters. They've got to escape. The remaining 4 rooms is them escaping. So first we will have our fight with Vader. Cannot win. Maybe you can deflect him, distract him, fill the room with smoke by hitting a pipe, whatever. But you can't beat Vader in the very first scene. So our next room is fleeing from Vader. So since, the 5-room dungeon theory says that the next room is usually be a skill test or some hindrance, and possibly also some lore. Let's say the second room is you're fleeing from Vader and the troopers, and you have to create a situation where Vader can't follow you. So you come across like the scene in the Death Star where you've got this big gap. You've got to figure out how to close a door, get the door to stay closed for a number of rounds. So there's your skill test. Okay. Room 2, skill test, close this blast door and get the door to stay closed. Either by, shooting the thing makes it so they can't open it from the other side, but they've got lasers, they've got crowbars, they've got a lightsaber that can just cut through it, but that's going to take some time. So you've got to get the door closed, and you've got to figure out a way to get the door to stay closed one way or another. It can be something as stupid as, I just spray goop all over the door to make it stay closed and make it harder for them to cut through it because the goop is flame retardant. Or it could be something really clever, like the player characters come up with this really complex way to keep the door closed long enough for them to get across the gap, the hindrance. The second part of the hindrance is, how do we cross this gap? Can we jury rig the bridge to open? Can we make a bridge? Can we shoot something to fall down to create a bridge? Can we Luke Skywalker swing across to the other side. So there's our hindrance. There's room number 2. Room number 3 will be our goal / lore / maybe minor fight. So Vader is chasing the player characters. They either have something Vader wants, or Vader wants to capture one of them because he thinks they know something about something Star Wars related. So the lore is going to be this room. This is going to be our chance to role play. We're going to give you maybe it's Star Wars. So let's give you, in this room, there's a guy. It's a mid-level Imperial bureaucrat guy. He's not a fighter. He doesn't really want to have anything to do with it. He's like, look, I'm just doing my job. I've got a family to go home to. I just do this for the money. I really don't care about the politics. I'm the Minister of Transportation. I took the job because I thought I could do it better than the last guy. So here's your role playing. Here's your lore. Here's the chance for the player characters to interact with this dude, get whatever they came for. Or, maybe they're trying to rescue the dude, or they're trying to get him to join the rebellion, or maybe he just because he's the Minister of Transportation, he knows something that, is innocuous on its own, because it's Star Wars, it's something that leads to something greater. Like, because he's the Minister of Transportation, he has all these records, that he's been noticing all these, flights going to this one section of the galaxy, and he's been wire, and he's like, I filled out this report, I brought it to your attention a couple times, secondary guy who's secondary in charge who might get a chance to talk to Vader and the Grand Muff sandwich. Why are all these ships going to this area? And of course the rebellion are going to be like, why are all these ships? We need this information, because in this area that they're sending all these ships and sending all these resources might be where they're building the next, I don't know, Death Star, Star Killer base, robot factory, trying to corner the entire market on blue milk so everybody else in the galaxy starves. But whatever. This Minister of Transportation in room 3 has noticed that all these things are going to this one area and a lot of stuff, and he's made reports. And he's trying to find out what's going on, because it's budget constraint and we don't have the budget to send here. So the player characters either want to get information from him or take him with them. Meanwhile, Vader is still behind them. So as they leave room 3, we will have another fight, a secondary minor fight. We will give them a chance to beat the crap out of some stormtroopers or an attack droid or whatever. So room 4 is... there is the goal, the escape hatch, the Deus Ex Machina is right ahead of them. Vader's right behind them, trying to get across all these hindrances that they have put, and then they get a chance to roll some combat dice, get some excitement, and get some revenge. Get the music flowing, da 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 da, shoot some stormtroopers, fight a combat droid. Do some heroic Star Wars stuff, chase some dudes down a hallway, blow some shit up, swing across the chandelier, whatever. They get through room 4, we get to room 5, which is our reward and our escape. Now, in this case, our reward is our escape and the information that we've gotten from Minister of Transport in room 3. But in addition, we'll throw in, here's some Kyber. For some reason, there's some, in this escape hold, there's some random Star Wars related treasure. Is there treasure in the Star Wars role-playing game? Maybe they find some blasters. Maybe they find a suit of stormtrooper armor. Maybe they find one of those belts from episode 1 that had all the gadgets that you never saw again. Why did the stormtrooper have a belt in episode 1 with a grappling hook? We never saw that again. Why would a guy in that bright white armor need a grappling hook? I don't know, but he had it and it was cool, so why not? So we'll throw in some Star Wars treasure. Maybe they can rescue a droid that they might want to keep. I don't know. Maybe there's a Mog, cute little bird thing in a cage that they take with them, whatever. But the main treasure is escaping, because now Vader has caught up. So we have a second fight with Vader that they still can't win, but they can escape and they can frustrate Vader. And maybe, I don't know, what would be a great final ending scene of our 5-room Star Wars dungeon would be they get in the thing, Vader comes through, they hit the exhaust and blast him in the face with the exhaust of the escape hatch, just going, ha ha, fuck you, Vader. We get his armor melting, him going, no! A couple stormtroopers shooting at them, and as they just disappear into space, go to light speed, know that they have successfully rescued the information from the Minister of Transportation that leads them to knowing that the next adventure is them going to this area of space to find out what the Empire is building there based upon all the information they got from the Minister of Transportation. I don't know, maybe they took the Minister of Transportation with them. Maybe somebody needed a new player character, or you needed a new NPC, or a new player was playing, and this was a great way to introduce them. It's like, dude, this is your character. You're playing the Minister of Transportation in the Empire, like in the pecking order. You're like 85th in line. So like the Emperor ever got killed, and all the guys below the Emperor, and Grand Moff Sandwich, and Grand Moff Greedo, and Grand Moff Steve. And why are there no female Grand Moffs? Grand Moff Susan, Thran, all these other guys. If they were ever in the one place and they all died, you'd be in charge of the Empire. But there's like 85 other guys that have to die before you're in charge of the Empire because you're the Ministry of Transport. That would be a great player character, So that'd be a great way to introduce a player character. You've got the information. You finished your 5-room dungeon. That's a 2-3 hour scenario maybe using Star Wars. You've got some action. You've got some suspense. You've got Vader. You've got player characters in a situation that they cannot win, but they still have to proceed. You're dealing with the idea of, can the final boss be the first encounter? And Star Wars has shown us, yes, it can. So there you go. There's my idea for a 5-room dungeon in Star Wars. We will continue this experiment a few more times. I don't know if people are interested. If they're not, we won't. Let me know. Comment down below. Do you want to see some more 5-room dungeon thought experiments exploring the philosophy of a 5-room dungeon in other settings? And if you do, let me know. Also, as long as you're commenting down below, maybe you want to hit that notification button and let you know what's going on with the OG GM Adventures. And subscribe. Help me hit 500 subs by August 4th, 2021. And I will do something crazy. Like eat some super hot chips, or, go on a roller coaster, or, I don't know, ride a horse, or blow up the Death Star. We don't know. Help me hit 500 subs, and you'll find out. Until then, may the Force be with you.